Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I'm joined today by my brother, the Gritty Broman. How are you, Brent?
I'm well, thank you.
Right on. So thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk a little bit. Well, basically, we've got a lot of comments flowing through our Gritty Stealthy community out at locals.com, and it's been cool to have that community out there. I've been dropping like little like last Sunday we didn't get our film ready. It wasn't ready for prime time, so we ended up dropping what we had finished, which is about a 30-minute video out there for the locals, the Gritty Stealthy community to check out early. So if you want to be part of that and those kinds of conversations, head over to the Gritty Stealthy community and become a supporter. Basically, it's like $5.88 a month if you join up for the year, if you do it all at once. So it's $70 total. And
you get a free month.
You get a free month out of that. So that's how it works out. Otherwise, if you just want to try month to month, it's $7. Yep. But it's really cool. That community is growing. Lots of engagement over there. Lots of films that you haven't seen if you're not a supporter. But
all the films we're dropping, we'll be giving giveaways over on Locals as well during this.
So there's lots of reasons to join up, but mostly it helps us out.
Come hang out. It's fun.
Yeah. And there's some conversations going on over there that I want to go over today. I'm just going to read comments from members over there, from supporters that are asking questions and so forth. And sometimes we do this, we just put it on the other platform. But today we're going to put it out for everybody. We're just going to read through some of those and have a little discussion about stuff. So if you want to be a member, you just go to gritty.locals.com and you'll have the join button there and you can jump on and be part of the team.
And you can always just sign up as a member and you won't have access to everything.
Yeah, if you don't want to be a financial contributor, you can just go over there and be a voyeur and just sign up as a member, and you can just
you still get to watch and see.
You still get to see a lot of the posts. I'd say 80 or 90% of the posts. But if you want access to comment, join in, and all that, you got to become a supporter.
Or like if we're sharing like a coupon code that was given to us for our supporters, we share it. You wouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah,
kind of
there's some supporter-only posts, but there's quite a bit you can still see. So check that out. So I'm just going to read through a bunch of these, some of the posts that have popped up, and just do a quick talk about. You guys always post good stuff, and it's a great conversation to have. I could take the time to type it all out, or I can just kind of give you my 2 cents, what I may or may not know about the subject. But Jay Hamburger wrote, "Okay, everybody, we have a gear question here. I've got a Wisconsin hunt lined up for late October on private. I plan on bringing back, in this order, 1 buck, 1 doe, 2 does, or lastly 1 doe. It will likely be one of the first 2, 90% sure, but I'll take what I can get, to be honest. I plan on taking the meat with me on my United flight back to Virginia. My biggest worry is that the airline loses the luggage, my meat, and it sits around for a few days in a warehouse somewhere and spoils. What coolers would y'all recommend to get this done with? Also, what size would you guess, and maybe even how many for the deer I plan on taking? Would TSA get butthurt if I locked it on the outside? The meat will be deboned, processed, and frozen when placed in the cooler." I have quite a bit of experience with this, and I'm going to tell you a totally different scenario than what you're planning here. I'm a dad with 3 kids, so let's keep the price point at a reasonable level, please. Yes, I could go buy a $450 Yeti, but to tell you the truth, I'm really over the whole Yeti phenomenon, but that's just my thing. I also don't want to get it lost, stolen along the way. Not sure if that's happened before. And last I checked, there have been a lot of stolen Yetis. It has to be rugged as well, with locking lids so it doesn't pop open, but I guess duct taping a Coleman might work too. Eager to hear y'all's feedback and advice on how to get the meat back. This might be a good topic for a video, how y'all keep your harvest cool in the backcountry and transport it back. Still working my way through 600 plus podcasts and videos, though, so you may have addressed it already. So cool, man. So here's the deal. There were some good responses. I appreciate everyone that joins in on the community here and chimes in, and that's what this is for us to all help each other out. So it's super cool. He said, so K-Max Mac AZ, he said, I have never done it myself, but have some articles where a soft side cooler and carry on are recommended. Freeze it beforehand. There's some talk about Take 'em Outdoors 365. He said, you can't go wrong with any of the modern coolers. 80 to 100 quart. I personally wouldn't be concerned with being stolen from the airline. In the worst case, it gets left behind with the meat frozen, packed with it. And he says dry ice, it should last 5 to 7 days if unopened repeatedly. That being said, TSA is very specific on the type of dry ice to use. So then there's the question of getting the rack and hide back if you do shoot a buck that you feel is mount worthy, or at least the skull and rack. As for cooler brands and options, get one in your price point. So here's my experience. Okay, I have flown meat home many times. The first time I did it, I flew four blacktail bucks home from Prince of Wales Island. Mm-hmm. That was a long time ago. And we just had a Coleman cooler.
That was what, 2004? 2006?
Yeah, something like that. I bought the cooler after I killed the deer. I bought it at the Walmart. I threw the meat in it after we froze it at a local gal's house. She's like, yeah, I got a cooler. You can throw it in there. And we froze it. We butchered it, chopped it, put it in Ziplocs, threw it in her cooler. She was super cool. And then it was frozen, and I just threw it in the cooler I bought at Walmart and duct taped it shut. It was a real ghetto. And shipped it, or brought it as my other luggage. That was the first time. Since then, I feel like I've perfected it. I've gotten much better. Mm-hmm. So to jump ahead, I recommend, people worry about meat too much, in my opinion. It can keep forever. I mean, that black bear I just shot in Alaska, I hung it in a tree for 9 days.
And then you came home and you forgot about it for 4 or 5.
Yeah. I didn't forget about it, but yeah, I just sat
properly aging it in the garage.
Yeah, just sat in the garage. It wasn't exactly cool. And then I brought it in and we butchered it and canned it all. And
no problems.
It's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's also some of the most tender bear meat I've ever eaten, because we were cutting off slices up there in Alaska and just cooking it right over the fire. Best bear meat I've ever had, Alaskan black bear. All there was a sea of blueberries for as far as you could see. Like, yeah, I've never seen as many blueberries as here. Like, the ground is just the whole mountain is just a giant blueberry patch.
Do you ever dissect your black bear stomachs?
I can't say that I have done that recently. Normally it's like grass, a lot of grass and berries and seeds.
Because I pulled up a picture when I was doing some research on black bears and how many blackberries they eat, because they have those lips.
Yeah.
And they're just like a Hoover vacuum with vestigial lips that can just...
Yeah, prehensile. As many as you can grab with your hands, they're even more agile with their lips.
Because they have suction cupping force behind it, too.
That bear that we saw, that I shot in Alaska, spoiler alert, it's a cool video. I just need to go back and finish and get a grizz to go with it.
Yeah.
But this thing was just like laying there on the ground. He's just like, rah, 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 just sucking blueberries, like just mowing blueberries. Like,
well, I was saying, because I found a bunch of photos of them having, because that's how they get the estimation. It's like they can eat like some 30,000 blueberries in a single day.
Yes.
And it's because they just wolf them down like that, but they cut them open.
It's funny because you'll
see those things. They look like a hot pocket that's just been spilling out.
The thing is the berries, by the way, think about the crapping you would do with that many berries.
Well,
but
it's not like they're chewing them.
I know.
They're like a dog. Have you ever given dog meat? There's no.
Yeah. Well, they're mowing these berries, and they didn't even. It was like gentle at the same time. Like he didn't hurt the bush at all. It's just like the leaves stayed there and like just sucked them off, and
their lips have incredible accuracy.
So anyway, back to the meat thing. When we were in New Zealand, that's probably when Ryan and I had the most meat, and we flew the greatest distance, and it was the most problematic, probably. We killed our tar. Ryan and I each got a couple. He got 3 tar. I got 2 tar. He got a chamois, but I got the biggest tar of them all. And we brought it we got a hotel room, and we took all the animals, and we'd skin them up on the mountain, but they weren't deboned or anything like that. We brought them out bone in. We got to the hotel, and then we basically just grabbed gallon Ziplocs at the local grocery store.
Made a murder scene in
we got a little
hotel
pot
room.
And we boiled the skull right there in the pot in the hotel, and we bought some bleach at the store, and we just slowly simmered the heads, the tar and the chamois heads in a pot on the stove in the hotel room, and we butchered all the meat there and put it into gallon Ziplocs. When we were done, we had a clean bleached skull, looked really nice, and then next to that we had just all the cuts butchered and in Ziploc, so when we got home, we could just throw them in the cooler or in the freezer and freeze them. And they were fine. So we got it all done, and we put all of our meat, because your airline charges you more for every bag that weighs over 50 pounds. And you can only have so many checked bags. Typically, I end up with, you're going to end up deboned if with these deer you're shooting. You're probably going to have, I don't know how big these whitetails are going to be in Wisconsin, the does, the bucks, and so forth. But big Wisconsin buck could weigh, you could have 100 pounds of deboned meat. You could have 125 or 40 pounds of deboned meat, although that would be a big deer.
And you might eat some before you ever get on the plane and stuff, just to be on the safe side.
But your does could be as low, like as small as 30 pounds of deboned meat when you're done. So you got to know how much meat you're going to end up with when you're done. I would imagine, you're going to have 90 pounds for a buck, 80, 90 pounds, and the does are going to be 40, 50 pounds, 40, 30 pounds, somewhere in, I don't know. The cape and skull are a whole nother thing. We brought the capes. We've kept the tar hide. I kept the entire tar hide, hooves on and everything. I think Ryan cut his off, but still the full fur. And what we did is we rolled them up tight. We didn't bother salting them at all. We rolled them up tight into a, just rolled them into a roll, and then we wrapped them in cellophane or plastic wrap, saran wrap, plastic wrap, just like a kilo of cocaine, and just went around and just wrapped it all up. Once we got it wrapped, we wrap it in duct tape. Okay, so now you have this like unleakable, cape, and that's all rolled up and in
and you just saran wrapped the crap out of everything, didn't you?
The Ziploc bags and all that, not really. No, we just put the meat directly in a Ziploc.
Okay.
Yep. No, we just did. You can make each steak or cut, wrap that, and then put that also inside the Ziploc.
I feel like that would make it bulky and way more, though.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you do when you normally butcher.
Yeah,
with the supplies you have at the store. Then what we did was, once we had everything in gallon Ziplocs and we had the hides all rolled up, we bleached the skulls, like I said. We just
the skulls couldn't have any meat on them, could they? Or any brain matter?
Brain matter. So the deal is, the cleaner they are, the easier it is to get through the airline space.
Yeah. If it looks like you bought that skull at a tourist stand, your money.
Totally.
They don't have.
If it looks like it's a freshly killed animal, there's all sorts of scrutiny.
As long as it's super clean, you could say it's a prop. They'll never know.
So there's different ways.
There's no animal that exists.
But a big buck is going to give you trouble coming on the airline with it. Although we've done that, from Alberta and stuff. Not Alberta, but stateside hunts. I'll put them in a big duffel bag, like a big army duffel bag, with a sleeping bag and all this stuff wrapped around it inside a garbage bag. And you can just throw that skull inside the duffel bag, the giant rack, and you put them in those big duffel bags. And they're tough. I mean, they fight each other and they drop off, I've never had a problem with it. It's bulky and awkward, and I suppose you want to wrap it, but I just don't think, it's hard horn. It's not going to break. They might break the skull if they did something to it, but the horns are insulating it in a way. But I've put a giant buck inside of a duffel bag with sleeping bag, and it goes into the oversized luggage area. The other thing that we've done though is we just take the head to a local taxidermist, and in whitetail country, generally it's pretty cheap. They're like $90 and they will beetle it or they'll Euro it or whatever, and then they'll just mail it to you in the mail. And so sometimes that's the way to go. Just drop the bulky head with the brain and all that stuff in it, and the potential for CWD, all that kind of stuff. Just give it to a taxidermist in town. But the meat and the hide, like let's say you don't want that taxidermist to do the mount, just bring the hide home with you with the meat. Like I said, wrap it up in cellophane, duct tape it, and then put it inside of a Yeti Panga. Don't use a cooler. And here's what I'm going to say. Like Ryan and I threw all of our meat inside Yeti Pangas. Yeti Pangas, 50s and 75s and 100s. I don't remember which sizes exactly. In our New Zealand footage from our hunt there's graphics and pop-ups and information on how much that hunt cost. When we're in the hotel room and you see us where we butchered it in the hotel, put it in Ziplocs and put it in the Pangas, and then we carried the Pangas. Now we wanted the Pangas.
I think that episode is doing the mahi,
something like that. Yeah. It's a series, but we froze the meat at a local bar.
Do you do that as often as you can? Find a local something. How do you find them? Because you've done that multiple times. Do you just walk into stores that have freezers and say, "Hey"?
Yes.
That's all you do?
Yeah. In Idaho, Montana, we go to like the local grocery store. The little cowboy towns that have a Safeway or a Ridley's or something. A little like
Piggly Wigglies.
Yeah, the stuff that's out there. In the countryside, the people that run those are cool people. They're locals. They support hunters. Hunters are a big part of their business as they come in September. Yeah. There's not a lot.
Are you kidding me? If you let me freeze my meat, I'm going to go buy something.
Well, usually what we do, like we go to that grocery store and it's all clean, right? We show them the bag, okay? All the meat is tight and clean and organized inside the Panga. And the hide is wrapped up in duct tape as well. So everything's like orderly and clean. It just looks like
butcher,
like it just looks like clean butchered meat, or it can look a little bit like drugs. And but we just unzip it, and it's like it's butchered, it's clean, it's sterile, or sort of sterile. Yeah, we're like it's what it is, and you zip it, and when you zip those Pangas, they're airtight, watertight, going both directions. So. Air going in and air going out, like water coming in and out.
And it's got a chapstick sealant that you rub on the thing, so it makes it even more.
The wax.
Yeah, even more.
And so we've been using Pangas for everything. And I think they're a lot less expensive than an actual cooler. But you can stow the Panga with you when you fly down there. You can use it as your luggage.
You can store all your crap in it anyways.
And then when you fly back, you can throw that luggage inside a soft duffel or something else instead. But with the Panga, it's super versatile. And when you fill it with meat and you keep it has to be under 75 pounds. I think at the airline, its maximum, is it 70 or 75? You'll have to look it up. I cannot recall. Look it up, Brent. Is it 70 or 75 is the maximum that a suitcase or a luggage can weigh? Somewhere in that ballpark, because for safety reasons. So you get charged the overweight amount, but the overweight amount cannot exceed 75 pounds, I believe, for safety of their workers. So basically, if you keep it under 50, it can be checked as normal luggage. Once you exceed like 2 bags, though, each airline's different. They charge you a little more. And then if it weighs over 70, or if it weighs, over 50.
So I'm seeing different depending on what kind of plane it is, because they have some newer planes in the last 2 years that do better. But 70 to 75. Some newer planes will allow you to have up to a 100-pound bag, but you have to call ahead of time. You can't just show up with a 100-pound bag.
So my bag was like I just came back from Alaska. I think it was my black bear, hide and skull. Like everything was like right around 50 pounds. So I just checked it as my second bag.
So let me ask you this then. So what are some other options other than a Yeti?
Well,
because I'm looking at Yeti bags right now, and for him to get I don't think a 50 is big enough. You need a 75 or 100. Maybe a 50 might work.
100's too big. 100's too big.
100's too big, so 75.
75 is pretty versatile. 75 is pretty versatile.
So 75 is 350 brand new, and a 50 is 300 brand new.
Yeah.
We don't have a code, guys. Sorry.
No, but I've been using those for years. I beat the hell out of them.
You still have the same ones.
We use them. We drop them. We've dropped them out of airplanes, you know, from the bush plane, like as it flies over.
They kick a little hole open in the plane and they shove your luggage.
Yeah,
down
we've used
while it's
it.
flying.
It's cool. Waterproof, and so and airtight. I don't know. It's just a really useful piece of gear, and I haven't seen anything that's on par with its usefulness. We used it as a top bag in British Columbia when we were in the Cassiar Mountains. You know, you throw your on the horse's back, you could put like stuff that you needed to stay waterproof and protected, camera gear and everything right there, and put it right up on the top bag and lash it down. They're just rugged. I beat the crap out of them. They're going to live forever. As far as I know, they're going to last forever. The cooler, it's bulky and big and doesn't collapse, and it's insulated. The Yeti is not. The Panga is not. But for example, when we came back from New Zealand, it was a 2-day plane ride. And when we checked the bag, the meat was mostly frozen. Not entirely. I mean, we kept it in the local bar. The gal there at the tavern, she took our bags, and they were there for like 24 hours. But it's a lot of meat to freeze.
Takes a while.
And it was just a walk-in freezer for her bar and restaurant. It didn't freeze all the way. I mean, some of it was pretty soft frozen. But we checked all our bags, and the meat had cooled on the mountain, and it was cool all the time. It was nowhere near spoiling. And then it was cold when we put it in the Panga. And then when we checked the bag, it gets super hot on those planes, and then it gets cold again and warm, and the air temperature changes. But our bags stayed sealed. Every time we've done it, it stayed sealed. I just brought that bear back from Alaska in the Panga last week.
I don't think people realize like how tough or like how insulated those Yeti Pangas are. It's a soft collapsible thing, but like the material it's
pretty
made
thick
out
rubber.
Of is,
pretty heavy duty rubber. I don't know. That's what I've been using for the last few years.
How long was the flight from Arizona to home?
From Arizona,
not Arizona,
Alaska,
from New Zealand.
I said like 2 days.
Was it 2 days?
It's like, I can't remember, but I I felt like we were on a plane for 12 hours or something, or 15 hours or something like that. You could look it up, but then there's your layovers and your time in the airports and all the changed airlines. And I want to say you're talking 24 hours at least, if not more, time between when it went in the bag. I want to say a full day and a half before we got it out of the bag and in the cooler at home. And it was unthawed. From Alaska to here, it wasn't unthawed.
Yeah.
It was still frozen when I landed, really frozen. So it's not insulated, but when you have that much meat and it's frozen and you put it inside the Panga and you seal it, it keeps just fine. So from Wisconsin, I wouldn't even think twice.
Yeah, so Wisconsin to Virginia, depending on the airports you use, it's 2 to 3 hours.
I wouldn't think twice. I would take that thing, I would throw it inside a Panga, I'd freeze it, and then or you can freeze it in not, in squares individually, and then just pull it out of the freezer and fill your Panga with it. But that's how I would do it. I would just throw it in those. And if you don't throw it in those bags, I just find another waterproof bag. Maybe there's a cheaper Panga substitute.
I just flew to Oregon with about 50 pounds of meat. I had a deer liver and 40 pounds of meat or so.
Yeah.
And then I ended up just freezing everything. Everything was already wrapped up in plastic bags, shrink wrapped. Put it in a plastic bag, like a black garbage construction bag, taped it up. And then I put it in just a regular carry-on. It's a hard plastic carry-on.
Yeah.
But I double plastic bagged it and duct taped it up.
Dude, a bunch of dudes use those soft Pangas. Yeah. Remy Warren was talking to us on the phone, and he's like, I fly home with my tar and chamois meat all the time. I just throw it in a Yeti Panga. He's also sponsored by Yeti, and he has a garage full of it. I wouldn't – first of all, those soft coolers aren't that efficient. Like they're not really that sealed. The top doesn't seal that much. It doesn't really do much.
It's not the same. It's like a picnic thing. It's not a...
It doesn't seal it in. Yeah, it's a picnic thing, and there's better.
It's cool if you're going out on the boat for a day, but it's not not heavy duty enough.
And then the hard coolers, I don't like them. It's bulky, and especially a Yeti. The sidewall is like 6 inches thick. A lot of the modern coolers are like that.
A lot of them are.
And they have to be so they work well. But you don't have much interior space. You got a lot of bulky outer space. They're expensive. I wouldn't do that. And you're going to maximize. A Yeti Panga is going to do the job beautifully.
Yeah, you're not going to. Yetis are awesome.
So that Panga is my recommendation. I've done it probably. I've flown with meat now probably
a dozen times.
Yeah, like 8 times.
Yeah.
And every time it's been super simple.
Super simple. I just flew to Oregon with meat, bullets, and guns.
Yeah.
And I got through TSA no problem. They didn't ask for a separate set of keys.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I had TSA master lock keys.
So when it comes to locking luggage and all that, I don't do that either. I never do, except for my gun, which by law you have to. And I don't use TSA locks.
I didn't use a TSA lock
because it doesn't do you really any good, and I don't like it that anybody can just open it. When it comes to my gun, you always get it checked before you fly away. If they need to open it, they ask you to open it before you fly.
Yep.
Get there in plenty of time. And then it never gets messed with before you get to your next place.
And I frankly don't think that the TSA guys really want to deal with the keys. I don't want to deal with someone being charged someone else's keys.
Too many times... Well, they don't have to. They have their own keys. It's the whole point is that their keys will open any lock that's TSA. Well, so can anybody else that has that key. I mean, it's dumb in my opinion, but
you have to use a universal lock, Brian, that anyone can open. Otherwise, we won't let you
for real. I don't understand. And then when you fly to certain places, right? I have in years past. The reason I stopped using TSA locks is because my stuff would get opened and messed with between areas. And I'm like,
there's no need for that.
There was no need for that. We already checked it here. It's always good checked all the way through to the end.
And I didn't touch it from plane to plane.
No. So somebody else flipped it open, moved everything around.
After it had already been checked, impossible for you to touch it.
And I'm like, who's opening my case? And ever since I've switched to the other key, it never gets messed with. It's fine. And I don't really trust the airlines.
And I don't think they say anything because why they need to get in your bag.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get in your bag, bring it to me and then we can open it.
As far as lost luggage go, with a Panga, I would put the little badge on it, but also I often mark mine with like a
get a big Magnum Sharpie and just write your name, your face, everything into it.
Yeti comes with a big luggage tag. The Panga does, and you can. It's all in laminated and in that flap. But in addition to that, I put like a colored rope on it or something because Pangas look a lot alike.
Yep, they exactly.
From one Panga to the next. And when you come back from places like Alaska, I've had like 7 Pangas all the same size that all look the same. I'm like, some dude's going to grab my Panga.
On accident. I do that too. I find some kind of marking or a tassel, and then I take a picture of it before I get on the plane. That way, if there's any I have a picture of it in another state. Like, come on.
As far as someone, the airline losing your meat and then it's sitting someplace, I wouldn't even get worried about it. I wouldn't even get worried about it. You're flying like probably nonstop flight from Wisconsin to Virginia.
Yeah, I would.
I wouldn't even sweat it.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose it. And that would be a worst case scenario. And I just don't think it's an actual really.
I mean, worst case scenario, he needs to find a local person that he can freeze it with as best he can. I think that's probably the biggest thing he should probably try and do.
Yeah. So that's my experience flying around with meat and skulls and stuff. Easy. Not that big a deal.
Not bad.
Okay.
Someone asked, Clinton Mays, this is over on the YouTube side.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, great video. Who carries the tarp you're talking about and that could use the business? I don't want to buy any old Cuban fiber tarp from Amazon or something. I want to help out the small U.S. businesses There's so many tarps out there.
I don't really know. You know, the Silex is what I used on that hunt in Alaska. Now, the Silex, I really liked it because it was really easy to set up. So super easy. And I could pitch it. It's really windy and, stormy at times. I could pitch that thing pretty tight to the ground and crawl inside. And as the wind ripped it, it just, we kept it real tight to the ground. And then if you needed to get out, it has that zipperless door and you just, and you shimmy out and you pull it down. Well, typically a tarp, you're setting up your poles and everything and it's draped over and it's open. Like it doesn't seal. It doesn't go to the ground. It's pretty hard to get just a square rectangular tarp to like go all the way to the ground. And if you did rig it so it goes straight to the ground and is staked down, how do you get out when you got to go to the bathroom? There's no zipperless door or whatever. But it is versatile because if you're not using it as a shelter in that kind of stormy stuff, it's bigger just being a flat rectangle than the Silex is in its tent shape, and so you can really lay it out. Bunch of dudes can get under it. You can glass. It's pretty square.
I've seen you guys go on like a big fat hill and then getting your tent poles and basically making that thing come out straight out off the tent
to block the sun, whatever. And then you can drape your sleeping bag or something over it more easily and then it keeps the sun from, it just provides so much shade having an insulated down thing on top of it. It takes the brunt of the heat and keeps the inside cool. But here's the deal, they both have their pros and cons, their uses, but the Cuban fiber, the square tarp, it's lighter too. So that's another thing that has going for it is the Cuban fiber tarp is lighter weight. It's like 10 ounces lighter or 7 ounces lighter. So it's, for example, I think the Silex it's basically like a pound and the tarp is like 7 ounces. One's 17 ounces and the other one's 7 ounces. That's what it is. So the Silex is 10 ounces more, but with that 10 ounces, you get a shelter that goes all the way to the ground. It has doors. And when you pitch it, it pitches faster and more easily. Mm-hmm. And when you pull up the zipperless door and the front two stakes by the zipperless door, which is easy, you can open the whole side of the Silex just so it's just a giant open space. And you can glass out of it no problem. And so it can act like the tarp or be as comfortable as the tarp. We crammed 3 guys in it to glass and get out of the rain with the Silex. So it was pretty good size for us to just, shimmy under there, get rained for 30, 40 minutes, or just get in there to get out of the sun for a while and then come out. And when you open those zipperless doors, it creates a lot of airflow. So I'm not sure. The big rectangular tarp, you can throw over your stuff, stack rocks on it, and take off. You don't have to pitch it. You can just lay it on top. So they each have their pros and cons. I think if you support Seek Outside, that's a hunting brand. They got our back. So that's where I would get it. If you use the code GRITTY, we had a discount. I think it might still be intact. You get 5% off if you use the code GRITTY. You can try it. I haven't talked to Kevin in a while if that's a thing over there. But they're a great place to buy it. And then Z-Packs is where I bought the tarp.
The one you've had forever.
And I've had that thing for like a decade. And I beat the hell out of it. So it's hard for me to recommend something else. Now, I don't know their political leanings. I don't care. I don't know where they're at on the hunting space or anything like that. You're going to have to look into it, but it depends what you want. If you want just the flat-out tarp, Z-Packs is making some pretty good stuff. Hyperlight also does too. But Seek Outside is my go-to. And if you don't have a Seek Outside Redcliffe and stove or Seek Outside Cimarron and stove, you ought to, because that will change your life. That will change your life. And by the way, you can get your Seek Outside Red Cliff or your Cimarron, get it with 2 doors, not just one, and then unzip that side and pull those stakes and open up the front and the back. And you get a pretty nice shelter there inside the teepee, and you can glass out of that too, or just get out of the rain. If you have one door, it's cool, but if it's hot, you won't have airflow coming through it. Anyway, that's my take. That's where I'm at. So that answers that question.
What about the attack pants? Someone had a follow-up question, wanted to know how do they smell after you've worn them for a week?
I think he was talking about the katana because he might have the attack pant, but
I can't tell which one he's referring to.
The katana pant that I was wearing doesn't have any spandex in it, and whatever the material is and however it's woven makes it still stretchy and feel nice. It just feels incredible, and it probably takes on less smell than any pant I've ever used.
Really?
And I get ripe.
Good to know.
Craig Smith, Steep and Deep, he asked about stabilizers. I've talked about them on just my own bow and arrow setup. I think last year before the season, I filmed myself shooting out here on the targets, went over my bow, how I got it set up, all those things. But I like a front bar and a back bar. And from what I'm hearing from Corey Miller, the stuff that is owned by Randy Kitts, the stabilizers that he's running, Darton, I believe. Is it the Darton? Let me look it up real quick.
I think Darton.
I think it is the Darton stabilizers. Only I don't know if they're named that. I think they're different. I think they're owned by the same people
as Darton, but not Darton brand.
Yeah, I had Corey on the podcast a couple months back, Corey Miller, and he talked about those stabilizers. And then the guys down at the bow shop also mentioned them. And I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm just getting my new rig set up as we speak. But yes, it's stabilizers. I'm anxious to find the new ones. What I used in the past was a front bar, back bar, Western stabilizers by AAE. They don't absorb the shock much, but having a properly weighted bow is night and day for me. So I'll see if I can get Corey on the podcast or some of the guys at Wild Arrow to talk about it. But yeah, if you don't have stabilizers on there, you're not gonna be shooting the way you could with it. And for me, it's huge. For me, it's massive. I'm not sure why. Maybe it is for others, but if I'm going to shoot long range, 70, 80, 90, 100 yards, I need that balance. Plus, when I come to full draw, I want my bow to be instantly balanced with no torque. I don't want to torque it or put any kind of torque or twist into the bow to try to keep it upright and level. I want it to just, boom, just pop there and just sit comfortably right there and then pull through my shot. Target acquisition, everything's faster. And then when that arrow breaks, it just goes straight out. I don't have to, let me see here. There's another comment I read in here, another question.
Would you try puffy pants while whitetail hunting from a tree stand or saddle?
I responded to that already. The answer is no. No. No, I would wear puffy pants under a setup, but look, there's a lot of brands out there of people making clothes, but Sitka's Whitetail Fanatic clothing is the dominant whitetail gear on the planet. It just is. I've used all sorts of things, but that Sitka Fanatic bibs and jacket, they've thought of everything. They're just on it. And it's worth it to me. Every penny is worth it. With the diagonal pocket, so I can put both hands in the kangaroo pouch. It's got all these little places for rangefinders, my call, like everything. The clothing is ultra quiet. And frankly, when you're in the whitetail woods in a tree stand, that's the deal. That's why I wouldn't wear puffies. They're too loud. Ultra quiet, the Sitka stuff, and so warm. So warm. Yeah, I think it's tough to beat what Sitka has and when it comes to whitetails.
So Brandon Nielsen over on Locals is asking some questions. He's planning a 7-day hunt in August for mule deer. Doesn't say where exactly. And again, he's got a 7-day early September hunt. He wants to know what your backcountry water system is. How are you getting water back there on those backcountry hunts in August and September?
Well, basically, I think I touched on it a little bit.
We've talked about this before in the past and stuff, but it's been a while since we've mentioned anything like it.
Yeah, it's hard to say, is he asking about my filtration system?
Mm-hmm. Wondering is how you guys run your high country water systems.
Look, what we do is simple. We basically, depending on where you're getting your water from, but we do everything with a SteriPen, like top to bottom, everything with a SteriPen. So the little tiny rechargeable SteriPen is what we've been running lately, or the classic. The classic takes a beating, never quits on you, and works forever.
What's the difference between the two? Is it just price or one newer?
The newer version can recharge right off of your USB? Dark energy pack or something, USB, but it lasts weeks without it, and it's tiny. It's like half the weight as the old classic. You don't have like 4 AA batteries in it and all this. It's just a little thing. And you don't have to search for batteries when you're getting ready to go hunting. You just plug it in and make sure it's charged. The days of buying like batteries for things is kind of done.
It's the day of the dinosaurs.
It's weird when I got to go buy batteries because from our headlamps to like just about everything, they're all rechargeable. They all have built-in battery of some kind.
I think your SteriPen was really your last holdout.
So the SteriPen, I plug it in, charge it. It's a little thing, and then we bring those GSI Microlite stainless steel bottles. They're a little bit heavier than like a Nalgene, same shape, same mouth, but they're stainless steel. Frankly, I don't want to drink out of plastic. Lampers doesn't drink out of plastic. We never drink out of plastic.
You can't take glass with you.
Also, we like it insulated. It's just a simple pleasure. You're drinking water all day, every day. The other day, I was up on the mountain and we just had plastic bottles, and within 30 minutes, all the water was warm. I'm spoiled, bro. I've been drinking ice cold water all day, every day for 3 years now with the GSI Microlite bottle. I'm not going to go plastic. I like the insulated. And then when it's hot outside, or cold rather, and you want a hot drink, it keeps it hot. And so you're drinking warm water.
You don't realize how powerful that is.
And then when it freezes and it's below, it's 10 degrees below, and you have a plastic Nalgene and your water's frozen, you can't drink it. Like the insulated container keeps it from freezing. So we typically run that, and all drinking water passes through the GSI Microlite stainless steel water bottle, and it sterilizes with the SteriPen.
But you keep potable water in another thing, don't you? So you have a potable water container, and then the one container you drink out of.
We carry the Hydra Pack, Hydra Pack or Seeker, or we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, it's Hydra Pack. But I can't remember what it's called, which one it is exactly. I'll look it up.
So we take those bladders, and I bring a 3-liter. I bring 2 3-liters on every hunt. So I have 6 liters if I want to.
It is the Hydra Pack Seeker.
Hydra Pack Seeker. So I get the 2 3-liters. So I have 6 liters potential, plus the water bottle is 2 liters. So that's 8 liters 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 liters that I can carry at any given time.
Jeez.
Carrying any more than that, your pack's getting pretty heavy.
They have a 1, 2, 3, and 4 liter bags.
Yeah.
And these bags are
vertical.
Yeah, they're vertical.
You know, you fill them up and they can stack well in your pack, and the weight is distributed upward. You know, they're not bad. They've never got holes, and we've never had them leak. And
which is impressive.
They've lasted forever. So those are the water bladders, and we'll put dirty water in those. I'll just fill them up whenever. Now, I also have a little Peaks titanium mug, insulated, which isn't for sale yet, but we have something like that.
#flex.
You know, the Peaks has, Ryan and I were testing it. It's pretty cool. So that little Peaks insulated stainless steel deal mug, or you can have like the Sea to Summit plastic mugs or any of those. You just, when you have like a little bit of water and it's hard to fill your big water bottle or a bladder, sometimes we'll just scoop it out with the little cup, basically. Your little stainless steel mug or whatever cup you have for drinking hot drinks and stuff like that. So that little cup will fill it up. Or you can use, we bring a hose on some of those dry hunts, and it's just a little 10 or 12 or 20 inch pipe. I should say pipe more than hose, but it's that thin kind of irrigation black hose that you get at like Home Depot.
Yeah, just a couple inches.
You bring in a little stick of that, and you just keep it with you. And when you've got a seep on a steep hill, you stick that thing in there and you create a faucet. And it can almost have no water. I mean, very little water is needed to create that little faucet. And then you just have this little trickle that starts flowing out. And that's another way. Another thing is, if you take like the Mountain Ops Ignite travel packets or any brand, like if you're using
flavoring in a stick,
if you're using
a 4-ounce stick,
if you're using like liquid IV, you know, if you cut both ends of the packet, you have a little straw or a little spout. You can stick that inside a little
seep,
inside a little waterfall on a creek, and then you can get your bottle under it so that it fills. It'll roll down that throwaway sample travel packet, paper packet. It's like, you know, you just cut each end off, and then you have a little spout that lasts for a while, and you can fill bottles with those. So we've gotten pretty creative with filling water bottles in really tough places. The other thing is you can dig a deep hole and let that hole fill up with water, let the dirt settle, and then you can just fill your bottle up. You know, I'd rather use the hose. So those are just some ways that we get water. You can bring a pump, and a lot of guys I've seen do that. They bring a little pump and they pump their water, out.
What are those? It's a saw. Is it the Sawyer hand pump?
There's a bunch catted in or whatever, and you pump it. We never do that. Pump filters sometimes don't really block viruses, although they do a pretty good job with bacterias. You know, we found like that SteriPen is just, I've never gotten sick using a SteriPen. And I've been going on 5-6 years now with it, and it works great. It just kills or sterilizes everything that comes in visuals of it. So the only thing with a SteriPen is I try to make sure I don't have giant floating hunks of stuff in there, because the light needs to penetrate whatever it is. So it needs to be, and you can do that with just like a schmag or a cloth that you filter the water, like dump it out of your bladder into your water bottle with just a little cloth on top, a sock, whatever, and you can filter the chunks out. Another thing, but the pumps, they're just hassle. They break, they get clogged, they don't work, you know. And frankly, I don't want to have to filter it at the time I'm getting the water. You know, people, you know, drives me nuts if I'm hunting with somebody that has a big, like 4 liter water like bladder that they're going to fill up while we're hunting, but they got to fill it up with clean water because they drink right out of the hose. Like, I don't have time for that crap. If you're going to filter 4 liters right now, like half the time I don't want to carry any water at all except for what's in that bottle. I don't want to dump water I filtered.
Yep,
Like,
it's a pain.
I filtered that. So we just fill the bladders up per our needs. We don't drink out of those bladders ever. Those bladders are just to fill our water bottles and SteriPen and then drink.
Those bladders are super easy to pour out of. The little nozzle that's on the top of it.
Sure.
It's got a little spout. Super easy.
And when I'm like hustling down a hill and up the other side, and I'm like, well, I need water, I don't have time to filter it, and I don't want to filter it. I'll fill my microlight bottle. I'll fill my bladders real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Throw them in my pack and go. All that water can't be drunk that way. All that water is got beaver fever.
Yep.
So, but when I do sit down to drink the water, I pull my water bottle out, kind of shake the lid out, get the stuff off the lid. I don't worry too much about it. It's never gotten me sick. Put the SteriPen in there, sterilize it, drop in some Ignite or some E-Charge, and I'm ready to go. That's it. And it works really well. That's kind of the approach. Now, when I was in Alaska, Chris Tobias was our gentleman guide there, helping us with the grizzly hunt, and he brought with him the MSR, gigantic, like I forget what it's called, but it's the gravity filter.
Yeah, it's like a big tripod type gravity filter, isn't it?
Yeah, he just hung it on his tripod often, or a tree or something. And it's super convenient to have that kind of thing in a place like Alaska. There's water everywhere. Huge. There's just water everywhere. And you sit down and you're going to, do your thing. Well, Chris could just fill that whole thing for all 3 of us. And it's like a 3-gallon or 2-gallon bag of water. And then you just flip the lever and water comes out gravity fed right into your water bottle, and it's filtered. And that MSR, it does a great job of actually filtering the water for bacteria and viruses and so on. But if your filter freezes, it's toast.
Really? Does it just like break or?
Yeah, it breaks the membranes and stuff that it's needed. So you can't use it in a certain time of year where the filter will freeze. A lot of those gravity filters are all the same like that. They also can clog. So if you're using like really nasty, like we had glacial runoff that just looks like gray, blackish water up there. And Chris had a hard time using that because it will just clog his filter right away, through not very many uses, and it's done for. So anyway, to me, it was like, well, that water's, in general up there in Alaska was pretty clean and it worked great. But when we were drinking out of the glacial runoff, I just SteriPenned it because it would clog Chris's MSR gravity filter. But it was handy the rest of the time because he just giant scoops of water, and everyone in camp could just use the one gravity fed thing, and you just could fill to your heart's content anything you wanted. It was just kind of nice to have it around every evening or afternoon. He'd just grab a giant thing of it and haul it to wherever we were at. Water's not far away, but set it up, and then we were just like had easy access to filtered water all the time. Not a bad way to go. The other thing, if you are going to pack really far in with water, you pack that MSR, the MSR, like it's almost like a canvas bag. If you look it up, it's a MSR brand, big water bladder, heavy duty water bladder. Like the guides that are packing in on horses will often like fill those things up.
Dromedary?
MSR.
Drome light?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, that ain't it.
It's a big bag. They go up to 6
8
liters.
Dromedary.
I have Drom Light bags and Dromedary.
Yeah. Yeah, the Drum Light, isn't that just the kind of rubberized, and then they have so it's got some kind of outer coating on it. Mm-hmm. Been a lot of hunts with guys that use that. I don't actually own one. They have the 4 liter. They're a bit heavier than the Hydra packs that we've been using in the past, but they have like a 10 liter.
Jeez.
So when you're dealing with that much water, and you're going to fill it all the way up and then bring it somewhere, you're starting to exceed what those rubber kind of smaller
they're really designed
can handle. This is a little heavier duty. So they have 4 liter, 6 liter, 10 liter. So if you needed a 10 or a 6, something really big, because you're really hauling water up a mountain. I think that's the same one. The 10 liter is the same one that Livesey had with the llamas. If you're packing llamas, something big like that. He also had buckets. You could just fill the buckets up. And, when you have llamas, life changes. But so that's another big bag that you could use. But honestly, the Hydra Pack Seekers, 3 liters, and the GSI Microlight water bottle and the little SteriPin is kind of our setup for water. And then if you're going to boil water because you're up at snow level, it's the same thing. You're just going to boil in your MSR, or whatever your stove is, your jet boil. We use the Minimo boiler water, and we dump it into the bladders. And then again, when we put it in our water bottles, we SteriPin it. Okay, I got this other question right here from Tyler Van Dyke. He said, need some opinions. Been doing tons of research. I'm wanting to invest in some clothing and get a system. Curious to know what you guys are running and what's been holding up, and is also lightweight. Been running some of Stone Glacier stuff and like it, but I've been leaning towards Kuiu, but don't know if I should go with Sitka. Need some help, and is the Cryptek altitude line comparable to Sitka and Kuiu? All right. I'll just read kind of what some other guys chimed in, then I'll give you my 2 cents. Drew Mack said, I have had all the major brands and like Kuiu and First Light the best. Most of my hunting is whitetail. The thing I hate about First Light is the total crapshoot of their sizing. But buy two different jackets at the same time at the same size, and they are 2 completely different sizes. Ugh, I butchered that. But he's just saying 2 of the same size jackets aren't really the same size. Mm-hmm. All my Kuiu is over 5 years old and has been all over the planet and beat to H and still kicks ass. Hope that helps. So there's one. Likes the Kuiu. Also likes First Light, looks like, but yeah, it's a little hit and miss. I have experience with Kuiu, First Light, and Sitka. Extensive experience with Sitka and First Light. Mountain hunter Brandon Nielsen said, I've been hunting the Rockies for over 20 years, including time as a youngster. I've ran Kuiu, Sitka, Under Armour, and First Light. I also found a brand that is great called Onca Gear, ONCA Gear.
ONCA?
Out of all of them, durability is going to go to the First Light. I've had some real grueling days and nights, and I'm still running some pants and sweaters from almost 5 years ago. Very good stuff. Mind you, it's all about what you like and what fits best for your situation. Anthony Thomas said, I have used Under Armour, Kuiu, and First Light. So far, my favorite is First Light. Before I got on the team, it was still the most affordable system that performed really well. I don't have any desire to try Sitka just due to the price tag, and the only reason I tried Kuiu is because I live 15 minutes from the store in Dixon, California. Don't get me wrong, their gear is super nice, but as far as bang for your buck goes, I'm picking First Light all day. Roy Bannon said, I only run Kuiu, hasn't failed me yet, and it's the lightest gear. Haven't tried a lot, but there has been no reason to venture away from Kuiu. I have started to order other brands, and they then talk myself out of it with the why try new gear if mine works without and letdowns. Good luck. If you have any question about KUIU, I have been using it for 4 years or maybe longer and have bought a lot of different pieces. And I have a dream list of the new gear I want to buy, can't justify upgrading. It's expensive and it's still in good shape. There's a few more comments in here. I'm going to get to the point though. I'll read this one more. Well, there's some good ones here. AK Alex Williams says, really like the KUIU system. Like the way their hoods fit, whether it's up, down, and still zipped up. Also love the KUIU pockets in their pants. My wife has the Sitka Timberlines and the pockets frustrate me. I'm not even using them. My phone fell out, blah, blah, blah. It freaks me out. KUIU side zips are where it's at. Been wearing the Tiburon at work as a carpenter for years, still holding up. Excited to try the new Katana pants. Brian Call has been talking about. Also run the Talus Hybrid here in Alaska. There's an Alaskan for you. I really dig the KUIU stuff. Sitka is just heavy. I too would lean towards KUIU. I have owned a lot of stuff and now mostly use my KUIU. Just can't go back now. Haha. But money. And you get what you pay for. All in all, cheaper stuff doesn't compare. And in my experience, Sitka just didn't work for me. First Light is great, but KUIU is the next level. Yeah, I'm going to chime in here. Just based on my recent experience using the KUIU stuff. First, I mentioned this. I've been raving about it a little bit. The Katana pants are unreal. I think that you can't go wrong with the KUIU Katana pants. I mean, for various reasons, they're just crazy perfect. I think if it's going to be colder, I might try another KUIU pant. I do like the Timberline pant from Sitka when it gets colder, but after wearing the KUIU stuff, it feels like the Sitka pant is an old design, like my grandpa's pant. Like it's that the KUIU just seems that more advanced now. Just cut, feel, zippers, the side zips, like everything. And I'm finding the side zips with the mesh I can't live without them now. And Sitka doesn't offer that. I think that so I love those pants and I love that setup. Ryan wears the Stone. It's interesting because Stone wasn't brought up in any of these posts. I haven't really worn the Stone pant, really put it through its paces, but I know a ton of people who do. It's a durable pant. It's a little too warm for me, I think, for most of the year until it gets real cold. And then I don't like the side zipper. It doesn't have a mesh. And so it just leaves your pants wide open to sticks and debris falling in and branches and everything else. So I don't like that, or bugs or ticks. So, but the First Light pants, they do not feel good. Their cut's not that great. I'm not super happy with First Light pants at all. In fact, I hated their pants.
Baggy?
They're just a weird cut, baggy, like everything about them I didn't like. Now their First Light's wool pant blend didn't fit well either. And then if I got thick thighs, if I were to squat or move, they want to rip out. There was no stretch to them. They did not take on a lot of smell, and I liked the material. I just didn't like the cut and the feel of the stretch or lack of. I mean, right now, KUIU. I'm just going to say KUIU pant, the Katana is pretty spectacular. I haven't done the Attack pant or any other line, but man, everybody should have a pair of Katana. They're
that good, huh?
They're great. Yeah. The Sitka puffies compared to the KUIU puffies don't compare. And my least favorite is the Uncompahgre. I don't like the First Light Pagre, the First Light line of puffies. Not a fan. Ryan's been wearing I forget what it's called, the puffy from Stone, and he's beat the hell out of them. They're still going. I think my KUIU puffies though are my favorite puffies of all time. Right
really?
Now.
That good?
They're just they have that durability. They don't have durability. I don't think that's not what they have. They are warmth to weight ratio is unreal. I prefer them to just about anything I'm running right now is a Kuiu Puffy. I cannot believe how compact they get, how warm they are, and they're durable. They're quite durable so far, but I have put a couple holes in them where my Sitka never. I haven't put holes in my Sitka Puffies, but my Sitka Puffies are way bulkier, way heavier, and not any warmer. And I don't like the cut of the Sitkas either. So far, Kuiu's really batting 1,000 for me on it when it comes to the Puffies and the pants. Now, that's where I'm at. First Light, I've run into the same thing with sizing. Like, it's just all over the place. Bang for the buck, I can't really speak on that. I mean, I got my Kuiu stuff. I dropped some coin there. But outside of that, I haven't really bought much gear in a while. Sitka is expensive. I still believe Sitka, based on my experience, is the most durable. Their stuff's built. It's built. Mm-hmm. But I prefer the performance. And I'll just, if I get a tear, I'll tape it shut. I'll sew it shut.
So that's something that Swaggy B over on Locals was talking about. He said that Kuiu has a special tape that's for repairing anything inside of their or any kind of tears in their clothes.
In the clothing line, yeah.
Yeah.
So you get that, you throw that on top of your Puffy, and it's a badge of honor, and it just keeps going. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm really impressed with I would get the Katana pant, and I would get Kuiu Puffies. Vests, jackets. Those are major. And then hoodies, I don't care. I think the Chama hoodie by First Light's one of my favorite all-time hoodies. I like the Battleground Merino hoodie that I'm using at Mountain Ops. I think it's a perfect weight, and I beat the hell out of that. Mm-hmm. I like the fit and feel. I like the pocket. I like the hoodie. And if you use the code GRITTY, you get a discount. I like the Kuiu pieces that are merino, but also the non-merino, like their blend that they have. I've been wearing that. It's a little thick. I need to find something that's heavier. I'm a sweater. Yeah. I sweat. I need something lighter weight. Like I go with the lighter weight Battleground hoodie from Mountain Ops. I think merino though is the tops. If I can do merino that's still stretchy and feels good like the Mountain Ops stuff, I can live in that for 14 or 15 days, sweat my balls off, go crazy, get blood all over it and all the things, and it just doesn't smell that.
What's the sizing like on the Mountain Ops Battleground hoodie? Because I know like the Chama hoodie,
you're all over. You can get one that feels like a bag. You can get one that doesn't. The Chama hoodie weight as well, it's just a little too thick. Mm-hmm. So it's more durable. So and that's the downside with the Mountain Ops type or the Kuius or some of the Sitka. When you get that lighter weight, better feeling, the perfect garment, it's susceptible to tearing more. And then I just have my wife sew it up when I get home and patch it up.
So do you wear a large? Do you wear an XL?
Of the hoodie? Mm-hmm. I think I just wear a large or a medium.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they stretch quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I don't want a big baggy one. Now, the Chama, if you don't get it sized right, to me, it just feels too big. Mm-hmm. Like a big old
I couldn't get a Chama to fit my shoulders without having to go for like a triple XL. Otherwise, it just wouldn't fit my broad shoulders.
The Chama's money. I don't know if that's still what they're making, by the way. But
I don't even know.
It's thick. It was thick at the time. Mm-hmm. And the thing is if it got wet, it didn't dry if I sweat my butt off on it, it doesn't dry as easily because it's a pretty thick wool. And that's why the lighter weights are better. But the reason I think that First Light went with that is because they know if they make a thinner weight one, it's going to tear. It's going to get quite a few holes in it. And so
it's a fine line to ride.
It depends what you're looking for. You're looking for that wool top that lasts forever. You're looking for the wool top that performs the best and lasts for years. I beat the hell out of my Mountain Ops and I get holes in it before, after 5 weeks or 6 weeks, I'm going to have a couple holes here and there. Mm-hmm. I just sew them up and put it back on. All merino is kind of like that. My Kuiu, all of it is the same. So that's kind of my system. But then when it comes to waterproof rain gear, I've used a ton. I've heard rumors about some of the brands. Here's where I'm at right now, and I haven't tested them yet on the KUIU side. I didn't care for the First Light rain gear. I don't think it's got the same cut and feel and durability that some others do. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's anything super fancy, elite. I don't think that what you're getting out of Stone Glacier's all that elite either. It's just a fine, serviceable rain gear. KUIU, I can't speak on. I don't know. But I will say this. Sitka's Dew Point rain gear has been phenomenal right now. I don't know if you can beat that right now. I still have to get my hands on the KUIU and roll with it and see what they're coming out with. But dude, Sitka's Dew Point is featherweight light. Seems really durable. I just used it in Alaska and totally waterproof. I mean, it's like I can now bring rain gear with me and justify it. I have the Stormfront, but that might as well be like a fireman jacket, like
it's huge.
It's bomber, but if I can get bomber and have it be paper thin, but still durable, whatever Dew Point's made out of right now, that stuff's unreal. So the jacket and the pant combo's expensive, but you're talking about lightweight, packable, durable, tough rain gear. The way I got my hands on it was from Kendall Card. Kendall Card over at Black Ovis, he used it on his mountain goat hunt, and he was bushwhacking waist deep through wherever he was. I think BC or Alaska. He was there with Tim Burnett. They were on that hunt together. Tim was in KUIU. I know he was in Sitka. I haven't talked or Kendall. I don't really know how the KUIU performed, but I know. So I got to get my hands on it. But Kendall said as he went through the woods. Like you're talking, what is it called? Drawing a blank. I'm tired, folks. But the brush in Alaska, I forget.
Oh, the Devil's Club? Or
no. That's Southeast Alaska. I'm talking about. Well, it doesn't matter. It's soaking wet, and you walk through it, the willows, and it just. Chest deep, waist deep, and there's no way around it. And when you walk through wet like that, it pops holes or it pops, water breaks through your garment.
Because it's not falling on.
It's not falling
in.
It's being pushed in. It's pounds
different.
of pressure per inch. And those pounds of pressure per inch pushes water through a membrane or through a DWR finish. Anyway, Kendall was like, did the whole hunt in Dew Point, and he's like, I was doing all that kind of stuff, and it was unreal, blew his mind. So then I got it, used it in Alaska. It still has some limited use, but going through creeks, going through brushy, soaking wet bush, they were amazing, and they zipped right on over the outside. I mean, they were a great pants, so they didn't fail at the zipper. I'm impressed. So the Sitka Dew Point rain gear, pretty killer. Like I said, I'm not a fan of some of the others. I haven't used the KUIU. I'm curious what others have for experience with the KUIU line on their waterproof clothing. I'd be curious. I'm just so impressed with what KUIU's got going on right now that I'm keen to do the rain gear stuff. But it could be that Sitka's got them beat. Now the other one is that I like is the Black Ovis puffy pant. So. First of all, I don't like the Sitka puffy pant. I think it's too big, too bulky, too heavy, too durable, too synthetic. Like, I don't need it. I want a lighter, more compact weight to warmth ratio pant. I think the KUIU is probably bomber because if their jackets are the way they are and they pay attention to cut and feel, I bet the KUIU puffy pants are just sweet. So that's my take on the KUIU puffy pant. I haven't actually used it yet. Now, that pant is like $250 or something.
Like $300,
and the Sitka is something like $350 or.
They're all $250 to $350, but your Black Ovis is
$150.
Yep. Are you talking about the anchor point?
I don't know what's it called.
Black Ovis anchor point.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
800 fill welded down pant.
Yeah, it's welded, so it's not stitched, which is good and bad for different reasons. It's got welding has its pros and cons. So, but the welding, it's like welded or glued between each baffle instead of
You're
stitched.
getting the same material and the same stuffing and everything. The reason is you're not paying for a sewer.
Right.
That's what you're paying for. When it says welded, it's being heat sealed and pressed, and so it's faster.
Right.
So you have to pay for a sewer, so you get it cheaper.
Right. But I'm not hiking, crawling, and I'm just not doing all these things.
You're sitting and glassing.
But also, when you stitch down, there's holes right at the stitching point. And when you stitch down like that, it creates those baffles, but it also creates a cold spot in a sense. But so does welding, right? In the end of the day, I'm not sure which creates more warmth or is more efficient, but I'm guessing welded has less holes in it and less air that can get through. At the same time, probably not as durable. I don't know. I asked Kendall, like, what happens when you get to like 0 degrees? Does the welding break or does the glue stay intact? And he's like, well, so far for all of our experience, it's been amazing. So all I can speak to is it's $150 for a pair of pants. And those pants, as far as I can tell, I don't hike in pants, puffy pants. I just put them on like a sleeping bag. So I really liked the Black Ovis. I do recommend trying out a pair if you're on a budget, because you get those sweet puffy pants, but you're not with the puffy pants price tag. And frankly, I don't know that you need the performance out of puffy pants, because again, I just put them on and sit still, or I take them off, or I sleep in them, but there's not action being done with them on. It's just, they're not an action.
There's a jacket that goes with that pant as well.
There is. I don't know that it's going to beat out the Kuiu.
I don't know either. It's the same kind of design, though. It's
super inexpensive. It's that awesome 800 fill down. Great materials. A fit and feel is nice. I just don't know. I think it's as good as some of the other brands out there. But
it's the same materials.
But I don't know. But if you're on a budget, that Black Ovis puffy gear is something to look at. Yeah. They have it in gray. It looks like the stone, doesn't it? Like it's almost.
No, it's more. What I'm seeing is more of a green of a.
Is that what it is?
The colors.
So they have the tan, kind of yellowish tan, and then they have the green.
It's a green.
I think they also have a gray.
They might. So now
it's just a shade darker, I think, than the stone.
In stock, what I'm seeing right now at Black Ovis is just the green. They're calling it a topaz.
Yeah.
So I don't
check it out. I mean, if you're on a budget, that puffy gear could be the ticket. I think for the pants, definitely I could say go for that. But I have a hard time not taking a Kuiu puffy jacket and vest. Stuff's unreal. My only complaint is it's a little bit noisier.
My only complaint, it costs twice as much.
There is that. But dude, it's like
no doubt, it's nice.
It's legit. I love my Kuiu. I'm loving that Kuiu stuff. It's crazy. I'm not paid by anyone, by the way. I can wear whatever the freaking hell I want, and I can talk about whatever I want, and I like it this way. It's not that I might not partner with a company, but I'm leaning hard away from exclusivity, where a company wants me to only wear their stuff, because you can't. There's just so many options out there, and to me, it's not authentic either.
Yeah, when you're reading those comments, where there's no reason for me to walk away from X, Y, or Z, and I'm like, I'm a mismatched SOB out in the woods. I owe no loyalty to you or anything.
Me and Ben and Anthony, we had the Hamsey group, Hunters Against Matching Camo. The Hamsey group. Now it's like all solids. Like we couldn't afford, like we had whatever jacket we could get from Camo Fire, whatever pant. Like it didn't matter. I cared about performance, not looks.
Yep.
Yeah, this is funny because AZLR Hunter, he said, my vote would be to mix and match based upon hunt type and conditions. Over the years, I've leaned towards Kuiu most exclusively, but I also have some lightweight military-issued thermal tops by Duofold I won't get rid of. When I made the transition to higher quality clothing, I bought used off Rockslide, signed up on KUIU's military discount, and waited for sales purchasing 1 or 2 items a year. Exactly. KUIU has held up good for you. I have a pair of Chinook pants and 110 top from 2014 that is still one of my favorites. Now around the knee pads there are some small frills. My wife used guide pants, jacket, puffies, tops, bottoms have been great. She got a one small pinhole size in the puffy jacket, almost too small to patch. Guide jacket, I've only gotten one tear on a 97 shirt with thumb holes. Yeah. Look, my experience has been, it's been really durable. So I can't really, I mean, like I said, if you want pure, like, bomb-proof durability, I found the Sitka the best. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's like twice as expensive for some pieces,
especially rain gear.
And again, I haven't worn the KUIU long enough to say it lasts years through tons of abuse. But I will say this: look at my hunts. I beat the hell out of it for 14 days. Mm-hmm. I beat the hell out of it for another 16 days. I beat the hell out of it for another 12 days. So, and we're not talking just light use. Mm-hmm. Never washed it, wore it the whole time, beat the hell out of it, never did anything to protect it. And I don't particularly take it easy on any of my gear. So, it's all like new. Literally, I have one little hole or cut in my KUIU that just, you put a little sealer tape on there and it's done.
Yep.
And that's it. And I believe with some of that stuff, you're going to get a hole. It doesn't matter what brand you're wearing, you're going to get a hole in that. Although I do think that the KUIU material, it's so lightweight and compact and whatever it's made out of, that I think you could probably tear that more easily than some of the others. And I'm just saying that by the feel of it, but I don't care. I do not care. It's like, okay, great. I'll just patch it.
Yep.
That's
how you run your merino.
Yeah, I'll put 50 holes in it. Yep. I don't care. That stuff just feels unreal.
Mm-hmm. And here's the deal. Once you patch up the hole, is the performance perfected at all?
Well, and Ryan's Puffy from Stone has a bunch of holes in it, and he just patched it, just puts little patches on them.
Yep.
So like tenacious tape or whatever. It's like a Band-Aid for your Puffy. Yeah. So, I think that'll take care of.
Yeah.
You have any more questions to run by?
No, but we do need to tell people we got that badass film coming this Sunday.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We have a killer film dropping on Sunday. Look for that. Start following the series. It's going to be 45, 50 minutes long, I think.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to enjoy it. And we have 4 or 5 parts from the first leg of the hunt where we kill a few bears, and then we have another leg where we kill a few more bears, and then we still have Alaska, which we haven't shared, and then we have 4 or 5 part elk series we're dropping that I think that's going to get you stoked. So we're working on all these productions simultaneously, but tune in on Sunday on our Gritty YouTube, Brian Call YouTube page. Look for the film. We're going to drop it Sunday. Leave a comment. You're going to be entered to win something. We haven't figured that out yet. Yeah. And we're going to start doing the giveaways, and we love your engagement. Get engaged. Leave comments. We appreciate all of that. We'll start doing some giveaways. Watch it with the fam. Set aside some time. And I hope that we start making your Sunday nights something you really look forward to with the whole family, or whatever night you sit down and watch it. But, we got that going on. And then support us. Use the links below on our YouTube channel. Look for all the gear that we use. There's discounts to various companies that we're working with. Someday we need to work with somebody like, Jet Boil and MSR and our microlight bottles, all that stuff. I don't know how much of that crap we sell if we don't get a penny for it. But we do have some great partners like Mountain Ops, Stealthy Nutrition. We've got alpaca rafts. We've got stuff going on with sheep feet. You name it. There's some discounts and deals down there. Treeline Pursuits, Treeline Academy, the e-scouting courses. Mm-hmm. If you haven't got that, get on board. Peaks, Gators and Poles. They're legit gear, and it helps us out. So look for those deals. You'll save as you're shopping. And thanks for tuning in, and stay gritty.